It feels like the world's not just changing, it's doing it at warp speed.
Absolutely.
And trying to keep up with what really matters without getting sort of lost in the daily information deluge. That's the real challenge.
It really is. Overwhelming sometimes.
You want the key insights, right? The stuff that helps you understand what's actually going on without having to spend hours wading through everything. Well, that's exactly why we do the deep dive. We try to sift through the noise, bring you the knowledge you need in a way that's efficient and, well, hopefully keeps you hooked.
Precisely. We're taking a focused look at specific sets of information to uncover the core understanding. Think of it like carefully examining individual pieces of a puzzle to see how they might fit into the bigger picture.
And today we're putting a spotlight on a collection of reports. World News from April 17th, 2025. We've got several distinct articles here, each offering a glimpse into different corners of our world.
Right, a real mix.
Our goal in this deep dive is to unpack each of these news items individually, extract the most important insights, and help you, our listener, understand what makes each one significant. Okay, let's dive into our first piece. A rather ambitious undertaking called the CODEX Project.
What strikes me immediately about CODEX is the sheer scope of it. This isn't just, another database.
No.
It's a collaboration between Chen Analytics using Blacksoft AI and Blacksoft itself, and the aim, creating a single, comprehensive digital encyclopedia.
Wow. Imagine having access to pretty much all the information out there, reliably organized and easily searchable.
Exactly.
But the article emphasizes how this could really, shake things up for a lot of people. Researchers could potentially make breakthroughs much faster.
By analyzing massive amounts of data in one place.
Yeah. Suits would have this incredible, always available learning resource. And for anyone just trying to understand something, it promises a trustworthy and thorough source of knowledge.
And Marcus Chen at Chen Analytics, he apparently believes AI, through projects like CODEX, is a real game changer for understanding political trends.
A game changer, huh?
That's the quote. The real insight here isn't just about making information accessible, though. It's about the potential for, democratized knowledge discovery.
How so?
Well, think about someone with a question suddenly having access to the same analytical power that was previously only available to, say, large institutions.
Okay.
That could lead to some profound shifts in how we learn and understand the world.
Okay, let's move on then. Our second article takes us to Seattle and highlights some significant social and political tensions. We're looking at a planned Right to Love rally and a counter-protest. What's the core of this story?
This event really throws a spotlight on the ongoing evolution of social norms, particularly in the Western states.
Right.
Right to Love, as the article details, is an advocacy group pushing for broader acceptance and legal recognition of diverse relationship structures.
So relationships beyond the traditional model.
Exactly. And their planned rally in downtown Seattle on April 17th. Well, it's just before a presidential debate. They specifically aim to bring these issues to the forefront.
And it sounds like they were determined to make an impact. The article quotes Mary Lou Ryan, a key organizer, urging people to get involved, saying something like, if we want to secure our rights, we need to make our voices heard.
Yeah, that points to a significant aspect of the current political climate, doesn't it? The rally is clearly timed to influence the upcoming election.
Sure.
And push for greater social inclusivity. But, movements like this often generate opposition.
And that's precisely what we're seeing here.
Exactly.
Which brings us to the counter-protest, organized by supporters of presidential candidate Farshad Gillis. And it's pretty clear from the article where Gillis stands on the issues championed by Right to Love.
Oh, indeed. Gillis has used very strong language, labeling Right to Love's advocacy as moral degeneracy and a dangerous slide.
Wow. Moral degeneracy.
Yeah. He's not holding back. And his stated intention to ban the organization, if elected, sends a very clear message about his views on these evolving social norms.
So you have these two groups with very different visions for society converging in the same city right before a major political event. The article rightly points out the potential for increased tensions.
Definitely.
And the need for heightened security. It really shows a society grappling with fundamental questions about relationships and acceptance.
Exactly. And if we connect this back to understanding the social and political landscape of the Western states, this event is kind of a microcosm of the broader cultural debates happening as the region continues to define itself.
In the wake of the climate crisis, yeah.
Precisely.
Okay, our third piece of news. This involves a surprising development in the presidential race. Damian Black, the CEO of the tech giant Blacksoft,
Right.
has announced his endorsement of Bobby Joe Bradley. That definitely raises some eyebrows, doesn't it?
It certainly does. I mean, Blacksoft isn't just any company.
No, it's huge.
It's a major economic and political force in the Western states. Traditionally, you might expect someone in Black's position to support a candidate with, perhaps, a stronger focus on economic growth, maybe a more conservative social stance.
Right, so his backing of Bradley, whose campaign has emphasized themes of hope and compassion, is, well, it's quite unexpected.
Very much so. And the article even touches on a possible reason for this. It mentions speculation that Black's wife, Sierra McClement, she's a well-known sculptor with progressive views, that she might have played a role in influencing his decision.
There's a fascinating personal element to the political dynamics at play then.
It highlights that even at the highest levels of business and politics, personal beliefs and relationships can have a significant impact on decisions.
True.
An interesting angle to consider here is the potential impact of this endorsement. Blacksoft's support could provide Bradley's campaign with significant resources.
Yeah, money and credibility.
And credibility, exactly. Potentially swaying undecided voters and maybe shifting the momentum of the election.
Which, of course, directly relates to understanding the twists and turns of the Western states' presidential race. This endorsement injects a real element of surprise and underscores the complex web of factors that can influence the outcome.
Precisely. Now, let's turn our attention to the sense of right alliance. Our fourth article suggests that the selection of their ninth member might be more uncertain than previously indicated.
Yes, the alliance, which we know includes some significant global powers, has been hinting at adding a ninth member for some time now.
Right.
The article points out that despite earlier indications, there's a growing sense that this decision is still very much up in the air, and the Western states are right in the middle of this speculation.
The key takeaway here is the complex interplay of global power dynamics. The Western states, as a relatively new entity formed after the climate crisis, and not yet considered a major global power in the traditional sense, have so far been excluded from the alliance.
And China's opposition is specifically mentioned as a big factor in that exclusion.
Exactly. Think of the alliance like a powerful club, right? And for now, one of the older, influential members, China isn't quite ready to let the newer kid on the block, the Western states, join.
Right. China seems hesitant. But then the article introduces a new and somewhat unexpected development. A surge in Pacific piracy attributed to someone called Cristiano Ronaldo.
A slight pause? Yes, Cristiano Ronaldo. Apparently.
Okay. And this is impacting trade for the Merchants League. How does this throw a wrench in the alliance's plans?
Well, this piracy crisis introduces a significant new variable. It's diverting resources and attention towards maritime security.
Makes sense.
The Merchants League, a powerful international trade organization, is demanding action. This sudden shift in priorities could very well influence the alliance's strategic thinking. And consequently, the Western states' chances of being included as the ninth member. The alliance might now prioritize members who can directly contribute to addressing this immediate security threat in the Pacific.
So, the Western states' hope of joining this major global alliance is now caught up in a mix of geopolitical maneuvering, regional hesitations, and, surprisingly, the actions of a pirate with a very familiar name.
Chuckle softly. It seems so.
It really highlights the unpredictable nature of international relations.
Indeed. It's a reminder that global priorities can shift quickly in response to unexpected events.
Okay, our fifth article takes us to Deseret. Discussions have been taking place there regarding their relationship with the Western states. It sounds like they've reached a preliminary stage in these deliberations.
Yes. The first phase of discussions within the Deseret Quorum, their governing body, has concluded. Mitt Romney, the president of the Quorum, has stated that Deseret wishes to remain part of the Western states.
Okay, so not full independence then.
Not according to this statement. However, it comes with a significant condition. They're seeking substantial concessions towards greater autonomy.
That makes sense, given Deseret's unique history and cultural identity. The article mentions their long history of self-governance in these ongoing discussions. It's a region with a very distinct character.
An interesting angle to consider here is the internal dynamic within Deseret. While there are certainly factions that advocate for complete independence, Romney's statement suggests a prevailing desire to remain within the Western states, albeit with clearly defined and protected autonomous powers, potentially operating with a significant degree of self-rule within the larger state.
And adding another layer to Desseret's distinct character is the mention of the Order of the Thorn. This all-women armed missionary force, also known as the Sword Sisters.
Yes. That's quite a striking image, isn't it? A combination of religious devotion and military discipline.
It really is.
They seem to symbolize Desseret's deep-rooted faith and their commitment to self-reliance and defense. The article also notes that Ariadne Oakes, granddaughter of the late Dallin Oakes, recently joined the order, which apparently carries significant symbolic weight within Deseret society, seen as a continuation of her grandfather's legacy of service and influence.
So Desseret's deliberations are really about navigating this delicate balance, preserving their unique identity while finding their place within the broader Western states framework.
Exactly. It speaks directly to the regional tensions and the ongoing process of defining the future of the Western states.
Something we're definitely keeping an eye on.
Absolutely. The outcome of these discussions will have significant implications for the political map and the overall stability of the region.
Okay, now let's turn our attention to a region facing perhaps even greater internal conflict. The former Confederate states and the ongoing power struggles within the fragmented Orcish horde.
This paints a picture of a very volatile and fractured landscape. The Orcish horde, which emerged in the aftermath of the Clampett crisis, is now characterized by ongoing internal power struggles. The article highlights that the forces of Gaelcach the Younger are being targeted by another faction led by Firehand, suggesting a potential shift in the balance of power within the horde.
It sounds like a constant state of upheaval in that region. But there's also a hint of potential unification, isn't there? The article mentions Thasgar Rockjaw's journey to meet Curzon the Vindicator.
That's a significant development. Curzon, as we understand from our sources, has previously distanced himself from Cargul Deathcleaver.
Okay.
And has even expressed some desire for peace, perhaps. So Thasgar Rockjaw's attempt to meet with him sparks hope that Curzon might emerge as a unifying figure for the fractured horde.
But the article takes a rather dark and concerning turn, with the mention of Curzon's ice wolves finding and executing Enrique Palma Delgado, who had links to the Church of the Ozark Ascension in Cuba. And what Palma Delgado was carrying is particularly troubling.
Indeed. Palma Delgado was found to be in possession of a fragment of the Helm of Domination.
Wow. The Helm of Domination.
Given the Helm's history during the Clampett crisis, its ability to grant immense power and influence the reappearance of even a fragment is deeply concerning.
Absolutely.
The Ice Wolves, recognizing the potential danger, apparently acted decisively.
This really underscores the persistent and complex threat posed by the Orcish presence in the region. It's not just about territorial disputes. It's also about these potentially dangerous artifacts from the Clampett crisis resurfacing and potentially falling into the wrong hands. This definitely connects with understanding the ongoing Orcish threat and its intricate dynamics.
The legacy of the Clampett crisis continues to cast a long, long shadow, even in these seemingly localized power struggles.
Okay, finally, we arrive at what can only be described as a truly bizarre theory that's apparently gaining traction in the Western states.
Slight chuckle. Go on.
The possible connection between the Orc warlord Cargul Deathcleaver and Jethro Bodine from the Clampett family.
Right, Jethro Bodine.
I have to say, this one caught me completely off guard.
It's certainly unexpected. The theory, as the article presents it, seems to stem from Jethro's disappearance after the Clampett crisis.
Yeah, he was the one member of the Clampett family whose fate remained unknown, wasn't he? Leading to a lot of speculation over the years.
Exactly. And now some people are apparently trying to connect him to this formidable orc warlord. The article frames it as an example of the rather unusual ways people are attempting to make sense of the post-crisis world. It's almost a form of, myth-making.
Yeah.
Trying to weave even the most disparate threads into a coherent, if highly improbable, narrative.
Right. There's no concrete evidence mentioned, obviously.
Yeah, none at all. But the fact that this theory is gaining any traction is itself quite telling, I think.
How so?
It speaks to the lasting impact of the Clampett crisis on the public imagination and, well, the human tendency to seek explanations, even in the most outlandish of places.
It's definitely a memorable detail, highlighting just how strange and unpredictable things can still be in the world after the crisis.
It certainly is.
So, as we conclude this deep dive into the world news from April 17th, 2025, we have examined quite a range of significant developments.
They really have.
We looked at the potential of the CODEX project, the social and political tensions surrounding the Right to Love rally, the surprising presidential endorsement by Damian Black.
The uncertainty within the sense of right alliance and the Western states' position.
Desert's push for greater autonomy, the ongoing complexities of the Orcish horde.
And, of course, the truly bizarre theory about Cargill Deathcleaver's possible identity.
Yeah. This collection of articles really does offer a snapshot of the diverse and interconnected issues shaping the Western states and the wider world.
In the aftermath of the Clampett crisis, from technological advancements to social movements, political shifts to persistent security challenges, it's a multifaceted picture.
And hopefully this deep dive has provided you, our listener, with a clear understanding of these important stories and their individual significance. It's certainly thought-provoking to consider how these seemingly separate events might connect.
Yeah.
And what their long-term implications could be.
It definitely raises some fascinating questions about the direction the world is heading.
On that note, here's a final thought for you to consider. With a fragment of the Helm of Domination resurfacing, and the orcs now apparently in control of the Antarctic Stargate in New Bug Tussle.
Right.
What does this suggest about the lingering shadow of the Clampett crisis and potential future threats that might emerge? Something to ponder until our next deep dive. Thanks for joining us.